Hey, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to the show. This is the Hit the Pick Founders Show. We do this every Wednesday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central Time. I'm your host, as always, Scott the Steamroller Steen with hitthepick.com. And I am joined by a cast of thousands. Three of the four co-founders are here, and we have one very special guest that we're going to get to here in just a second. But before we do all that, let's remind everybody, if you would be so kind, stop by hitthepick.com. Check out our latest and greatest deals. $25 gets you 30 full days of any handicapper of your choice. And we have got some red hot cappers on our hands. So let's go ahead and meet some of the fellas, shall we? In the center right square, you know him, you love him, the pride of Houston, Texas, by way of OHIO. He has two teams to cheer for, and they disappoint him every single year. It is the one, the only, David Delano. What's up, sir?
Hey, what's going on? Glad to be here. Looking forward to this Stanley Cup Finals, NBA Finals. Having a great time in Major League Baseball. And looking forward to talking to our guest today. So,
outstanding. And next to him, now without the mustache, so you may not recognize him. But just as though everybody in Vegas knows, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Sniper West. What's going on, Sniper West?
Hey, just living the dream here in Vegas. It's funny. I still have California plates. I just moved out here 2 months ago. So I actually had to go do my registration, get my car smogged, and I didn't want to switch everything over yet. So I had to drive freaking 80 miles today to Baker, California, which is essentially the armpit of the world. And just to get my car smogged. So did that in the morning, came back and handicapped some games. But yeah, looking forward to the show. Super stoked to have Billy Godfather on and hear some stories.
It's going to be fun. Wait, you had to get your car smogged?
I did for registration. Yes. And I had to go all the way to California to do it. The closest smog place to the Nevada border was Baker, which is about 60 miles into California.
And why didn't you just get it licensed in Vegas where you don't have to worry about smog?
It's a long story, Scott.
Okay.
let's just say the price of car insurance is maybe double what it is in California, and there's a lot of other financial reasons. But right. I'm probably going to have to do that just for legal purposes, and you get some tax breaks here in Nevada too. But it was just too soon, and I didn't have the time to deal with it yet. So.
All right, I'm going to call shady as shit on that. Very good. All right, let's move on. He is the one, the only. He's the pride of Philadelphia. You know him, you love him. He's Tom Macrina, a.k.a. Rye Cape. What's going on, Mr. Cape?
Yeah, not too much. The weather's turning. I'm excited for these NHL playoffs, Stanley Cup Finals, NBA Finals. Yeah, this is a great weekend coming up.
Okay, very good. And, usually I just say bullshit like we've saved the best for last. But this time I really mean it. And because we're all mutts compared to this guy. If you don't know who this guy is, you are either brand new to sports betting or you have had your head buried in the sand. He's got a brand new book that's just out, just dropped. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some of his takes on the NBA and the NHL. Let's meet the Philly Godfather. Sir, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. I've been on a lot of podcasts, some of the biggest in the world, some of the smallest, but this is the most professional. I should have wore a suit today.
Yeah.
I feel honored to be here. And Wes, listen, if you're in Philly and you register your car, you give the guy $50 and he slaps an inspection sticker on, and you're good to go. You ain't got to drive 100 miles to California.
Yeah, it would have been a lot easier. That's for sure.
You couldn't get somebody to smog you for $25 there in Vegas?
What is smog?
I don't know, man. These regulations are crazy out here. Yeah, I had to drive all the way to Baker. It's nuts.
All right, very good. So Philly, you've got a brand new book out, and we've been reading it here, and it is a fascinating story. And you have done so much, and just kind of tell everybody about what drove you to write the book to start with. What made you want to tell this story at this particular time?
Well, I'm getting older in age, even though I don't look it, but I try and stay young. But there's so many fascinating gambling stories, and I've been approached about doing a movie about my life. And my best friend was Jimmy Batista growing up, the guy that was paying off Timmy Donaghy, the NBA betting scandal. And we've been betting since we were kids, since we were, old enough. Actually, before we even got driver's licenses. We were booking early, we were betting. And then back in like 88, met some guys, and we started moving money for guys out in Vegas, some big names, Billy Baxter, Billy Walters, Stevie Z, guys like that back then. And that's how I got into the business. But it's about the two most hottest topics in the country. It's about marijuana and sports betting. And that was basically my life for years. I was in the marijuana market and the sports betting market since I was a kid. And back then it was taboo, but now it's sexy, it's fashionable. Everybody wants to own a dispensary. Everyone wants to be a professional sports bettor. But the reality is there's a lot of hard work, a lot of struggle, a lot of pain that went into those years to get to where I'm at today. So I wanted to own my IP before we did the movie, or my intellectual property. And that's why we wrote the book, because God forbid if we sell to one of these big production companies, I don't want them to change, my ethnicity or change the story around. And you know how they do that. And sometimes they screw up the whole story. So that's why we really wrote the book first, to own our IP so they can't change the story. And we're in negotiations with Netflix right now to do a series. And 2026, we're shooting to start filming the movie.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I know, like you said, you kind of started, and your dad came over from Greece, right? And he worked his ass off, got a hot dog truck, ended up owning 4 hot dog trucks. And you looked at that lifestyle that dawned way past dusk, and you're like, I think I'm going to pass, right?
Well, he came over in 1969, was a dishwasher making $1 an hour, working 90 hours a week. And his motto was, if you're working 40 hours a week and it's not good enough, you got to work 60. If that's not enough, you work 80. But the key word was, if that's not enough. If that's not enough, you work 80. If that's not enough, you work 100. And if you still can't make it, you don't sleep, because failure isn't an option. And it wasn't an option to him because he had 4 kids in a new country, didn't speak the language. He had to find a way to make it. And after about 8-9 years, worked as a dishwasher, moved up to cook, saved some money, then became a manager of a little pizza joint, Broadway Pizza over there, 60th and Market in West Philly. And then he decided to, try and take a shot at the American dream, and he bought a little hot dog cart. And that's when things started to change. He started making some money. He had me in a hot dog cart at the age of 8. So I learned a lot in the hot dog cart. You learn the value of $1, hard work. You get to meet people. You get to talk to different people from all around the country, all around the world. We had hot dog carts in Center City, Philly. So it was the greatest education of my life. I never went to school. I dropped out in 9th grade. I really stopped going in 6th. But I wouldn't trade anything. I wouldn't change anything. Put it that way. Great experience, great parents, great morals, hard work, and I went off the course a little bit. Took a path less traveled by most, but it ended up being all right. So.
Yeah, and you used even those the couple 3 years there that you spent against your will in Arizona. You used that kind of as a positive experience, and you learned a lot and kind of came out a different guy, right?
Yeah, well, I went in at 209. I came out 160 pounds, ripped. I read the Atkins diet book while I was in there. I carved out for 2 years. I got really healthy. Before I got jammed up in Arizona, I actually did 21 months in Yuma, half the time in Yuma, half the time in Kingman. Yuma was hot. It was 122 degrees, no air conditioning. So that was kind of tough, 23-hour lockdown. But I learned to find inner peace because before that, I was always real fidgety. I couldn't stay in the same place for more than 10 minutes. I had to keep moving. I needed action. I needed to keep doing stuff. I had businesses. I was betting sports. We were into all kinds of different stuff. And I really found inner peace when I got jammed up. I turned the negative into a positive, and I came home. And back in 2012, we were still betting games. We were moving money still. We had reverse engineered a lot of the NFL stuff that they were giving us for years, the baseball stuff, college football, college basketball. So we were really originating a lot of baseball totals. And in 2012, what was happening was I was getting cut off by books. We were getting shut down. We were getting limited. People were stiffing us. So I said, I'll get back to these guys. So I launched the website in 2012, and I started sharing my information with everyone, who wanted to join. And then next thing you know, 2014-15, I'm on national TV, national radio, Fox Sports 1 with Clay Travis, David Kaplan in Chicago, and things just blew up. And I never had a plan, never planned on any of this, and it just took off. It was an amazing ride, man.
That's fantastic. And yeah, just I know we talked about the book, and you want to show everybody the cover, show everybody the name.
Sure, it's called Booked. Because you start getting books, it's the time you get your driver's license. Everyone's in your pocket, so you got to flip the odds on it. Whether it's the insurance companies, the wedding industry, the diamond companies. When you meet a girl and you fall in love, When you get jammed up, you get booked. When you place a sports book, you get booked. So the odds are always against you. You got to flip those odds into your favor.
Excellent. That's outstanding. And you did talk about your website. You want to give a quick plug here before we roll on?
Yeah, it's the PhillyGodfather.com.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, I would just if you can't remember that, again, please stop sports betting. That's just there's no room for you. All right. So let's talk a little sports here, guys. Let's talk some NBA. And before we get out of here, I do want to hear the El Chapo story. Okay, that's my only that's the only one that I want. But we'll give you a break and we'll talk a little NBA. It is Oklahoma City, as you guys may have heard, two of the most powerful TV markets in the country. You know, the NBA and ABC has to be overjoyed with this matchup between Indiana and Oklahoma City. Dave, what are you thinking on this series?
Yeah, so for this series, what I like the prediction that I have is Oklahoma City to win it 4-2. Going with those exact odds, it's been in that plus 400 to plus 450 range. I think that the Pacers, I don't think that we should completely count them out here. I also like that series over 5.5 games. They do have the coaching advantage. Oklahoma City, a lot of young players. I mean, this is still uncharted, territory for them. That being said, I think even though the Pacers, they can give them a better battle than a lot of people are really expecting, I don't see Oklahoma City losing this. Now, obviously, you look at those minus 600, minus 700 odds. Those are ridiculous. But I think if we take them to just go 4-2, and then if something weird happens, also last time it was at plus 115 for over 5.5 games. So I like over 5.5 games, and I like OKC at plus at 4-2 to get some value here.
I don't hate that because this is an Oklahoma City team that has been just about untouchable at home, but they've looked very vulnerable at times on the road, and they look that way during the season, and they certainly look that way during the playoffs. Tom, what are your feelings on this one?
I'm kind of with David on this one, 4-2. I know everybody's thinking the gentleman's sweep, but I think that the Pacers get one in Oklahoma City. They get another one in Indiana. Call it a day. The thing here, I think the Pacers are going to have to be able to play their pace. Oklahoma City is the best defense. I just think they're going to hunker down here. So, yeah, I like Oklahoma City. I like it. 4-2 sounds good.
Hey, Wes, that opening game is 9.5 points and 230.5 is the total. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because I do like the under here, believe it or not, which could be contrarian. Seems kind of high, but I mean, I get the Pacers play at a very high pace, no pun intended. But if you look at the games that the Pacers have actually lost as of late, so they lost 2 games to the Knicks, and in those 2 games, they scored 94 and 100. Right? They lost 1 game to the Cavs. They scored 104 points in that game. They lost 1 game to the Bucks, scored 101 in that game. So it seems like when they do not win the game, they don't put up very many points, hence why they don't win the game. And OKC, number 2 defense. In fact, I saw a stat. They allowed 107 points in the regular season per game, and they're allowing the same exact amount, 107 points per game to their opponents in the playoffs too. So they're very consistent defensively. And as long as OKC just doesn't go ham and score 140 points on their own, I definitely like the first game to go under. I'll reevaluate game 2, but give me the under in the first game. I kind of agree with 4-2 also with the Thunder.
You got a thought on the side?
I wouldn't be surprised if Indy hangs tough here. It's just a lot of points, man. It's 9.5 points for a team that likes to run. But I like the total more, which is why I'm going to go with the total.
All right, very good. This is like Woodstock, and you've just seen 4 versions of Sha Na Na, and now we're going to hear from the Who.
Stop.
Billy, what are you thinking on this series?
Well, if you guys follow me on X back in September, we were out in Vegas at the Fountain Blue, and we bet OKC to win it all, plus 750. Did a little video for everyone. I released it on X. So we were big on OKC before the season started. Probably the most underrated 68-win NBA team that I can remember. It's going to be a tough series for the Pacers. The Pacers play great at home. They've won over 73% of their games at home this year, but on the road, just 50-50. And they just beat the Cavs and the Knicks, which looks great, on paper, but the Cavs were 15th in opponent 3-point defense this season, and the Knicks were 22nd. And now you're going up against the number 1 defense from beyond the perimeter in OKC. those Pacers aren't going to be getting those looks like they did in those previous two series. But with that said, the first game, the dog is always live in the NBA Finals. Teams got to figure each other out, coaching matchups. 9.5 points, a lot of points. If it gets to 10, it'll probably be on the Pacers for game one plus the points. I kind of like the under, like Wes said. Was it 231 in game one?
I got 230.5 on FanDuel, but I'm sure there's 231 out there.
Where you watch on the screen. But again, I think OKC wins the series. I mean, they turned the ball over less than any other team in the NBA this season. The Pacers in the playoffs are putting their opponents on the foul line, 28 or 29 times per game, and OKC is number one in free throw shooting percentage. So they can't continue to do that if they want to win this series. But again, game one of the NBA Finals, the dog is always live. I remember back in 2000, we were at the Mandalay Bay, and we were betting Sixers money line with AI when they played the Lakers, and they went out there and they won. I think we were getting plus 800 first game of the series, or plus 600, and we were smashing that back in 04 when we took the Pistons against that dream team, Lakers team, when they had Karl Malone and the glove, and Pacers ended up winning that game. And I think they won that series 4-1. So again, if there was a game where you wanted to sprinkle a little on the money line, maybe it's game one. But for the series, I think OKC is just too much for that.
Let me ask you. We talked about it just briefly. Oklahoma City has been absolute nails at home, and they've struggled to cover the number, especially on the road. You got any thoughts about what to attribute that to?
I'm sorry. Repeat that. The dogs are barking.
Oh, no,
that means the Pacers are covering. That means the Pacers are covering.
No, we're just talking about how Oklahoma City is the best team in the league against the number at home, but they fall off dramatically on the road. And we saw it in the last series. We've seen it in the playoffs. We saw it in the regular season. Do you have any cause for concern there as far as an Oklahoma City win on the road? And do you have anything you can attribute that to?
No, I mean, teams get a little lazy on the road. They're up by big margins. You got to remember they've won. What's their average margin of victory? 13 points per game this season.
It was.
The lines are going to be inflated by the bookmaker, so you're betting into an inflated price when you're betting that team on the road. And compare that to last year's Celtics teams. That was one of the best NBA teams ever. Their average margin of victory was 11 points per game. In the previous season with the Nuggets, they were only at 3 points per game. So this is a team that if you're betting them on the road, you're betting it to inflated numbers. So, I'd be careful with that, but I can't see them losing the series, to be honest.
You're kind of paying a little Oklahoma City tax, basically, is what you're saying, huh?
Exactly.
All right, very good. Let's move on to the Frozen Pond as the championship series gets underway tonight, as Edmonton and Florida, two number 3 seeds, will vie for the title. What are you thinking on this one, David? Kicking off there in Edmonton.
Yeah, so I've been having a lot of success in the NHL. I'm not going to break down the X's and O's like some guys can in hockey, but when I'm looking at this one, I kind of like taking what's been working for me in the NHL more game by game than the series. I mean, both of these teams just match up so well. It's such an even matchup, but I'm leaning with, I actually have a play on Florida for game one at plus 115 at the time. I think that they're going to get at least one of these games in Edmonton. I know Edmonton didn't have the home ice last year. Obviously, we had that, Florida won the first 3. Edmonton won the next 3, went to game 7. But I do like the Panthers. And also it's tough to go against the over in this one. I mean, we've had Florida averaging 4.8 goals per game on the road in the playoffs. And, all that firepower with Edmonton averaging about 3.2 at home. I like the over 6. I mean, I know there's some 6.5s out there, but there's still some 6s. If you get a 6, I like over 6. And I like the Panthers in game 1.
Okay. Very good. Sniper Wes, what are your thoughts here on the hockey?
I really, really liked Edmonton to win the series, and I still do, and I like them tonight, actually, in game 1. Although I have some very, very sharp hockey friends, and I respect their opinion a lot. And they actually live in Canada, so they live and breathe this stuff. And 2 of them I know are both on Florida, which scares me a little bit. But I'm still going to back Edmonton tonight and for the series. I think they actually, home ice advantage is going to be huge. If you remember last year, Florida had the home ice advantage. Florida is by far the most physical team that Edmonton has played in these playoffs. And Tkachuk and Marchand, they like to play the get under your skin type of game, which Draisaitl and McDavid don't really want any part of. They just want to skate up and down the ice and score goals, which they've been doing quite well in the playoffs. I mean, they're the number one offense in the playoffs. They scored, if you look at that Dallas series, they scored 6, 4, 6, 3, 3. So, I mean, when you're scoring 4 goals a game, it's hard to lose. But I like Edmonton game 1. Give me Edmonton actually in 6 to win the series. But I'm a little weary after a couple of my sharp friends are actually on Florida. So that's
all right. Very good. Tom, do you have any sharp friends?
Just you guys.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Same here. What are you thinking on the hockey, brother?
Yeah, so I'm with Wes on this one. I actually like the Oilers. I like them in this series. I think that a big part of why they didn't win this series last year was because they got in an 0-3 hole. I think they're going to come out on fire tonight, try to get that first game win. I also like the over as well. We have a lot of goal scorers on both teams. I know that Florida has the advantage with the defense and definitely the goalie, but I think we're going to see something from Skinner in this series. I like the Oilers overall.
All right, very good. Philly, you got some thoughts on the hockey?
Yeah, I'm not the greatest hockey handicapper, but if you're looking at price and you're comparing it to last year's Stanley Cup, I mean, last year the Panthers opened up a 25-cent favorite, and they got steamed up to 30, 35 cents. This year, the look-ahead line on this series was basically a pick 'em. And then some sharp money start coming in on the Oilers for the series. And now what are they? A 20-cent favorite, 15-cent favorite, depending on where you shop. But last year, I mean, the whole series came down to that final game. It was 2-1. This year, they played 2 times already. And in the one game where the Panthers won 6-5, they had to score 3 goals in the third quarter to win that game. And in the other game, I think it was 4-3. They had to score 2 goals in the third quarter of that one to come back and win that game as well. So this is as even as a series as you can get. A little worried about Bobrovsky's minutes. I mean, he's played a lot of minutes. He's 36 years old. While Edmonton's goalies they're kind of fresh. You can interchange them. That might be a plus there. It's tough. If I gun to my head, if I had to pick a side here, I guess I would go with the Oilers, man. I think they've gone through the gauntlet last year with this team. They know what to expect, and I think they're the quicker team. Both teams are scoring lights out in the playoffs. They're both averaging over 4 goals per game. So I think that overprice on the first game is 6, Wes? Is it 6 or 6.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6.5.
You would lean over. But I guess I would go with the Oilers. I haven't bet it yet. I hate giving out stuff that I haven't wagered on.
Right.
But to me, I think the Oilers might be the better team here.
Let me ask you a question in general about the playoffs, and it's a question that we get a lot. How much stock do you put in regular season contest, either in the NBA, NHL, even the NFL, assuming there was no injury differential, anything, any impact players that were not available for those games? How much of that plays into your thought process when it comes to the postseason?
Well, it seems like when it comes to the NHL and Major League Baseball, it's the teams that get hot at the end, unless it's the Dodgers that are stacked. You can't beat that team. But you get a hot team in baseball winning in August, September. Next thing you know, like the Nationals team from 5-6 years ago, that got red hot and went on just to beat everyone. They came out of nowhere. And to me, when it comes to hockey, it's the hot goalie. I mean, if you can stay hot throughout the playoffs, that's a team you got to watch out for. So yeah, when it comes to those two sports, the regular season really doesn't mean much. The NBA is a little different animal. The NFL is a little different. But when it comes to those two sports, yeah, it's whoever gets hot at the end.
All right, very solid. And while we're talking about it, what are you thinking on the MLB season so far? What teams have disappointed you the most, and what teams have surprised you the most?
Well, we had futures on the Orioles, and that's a clunker. But the futures we have on the Tigers, the Phillies, the Padres, we're sitting pretty. We had 31 on the Tigers. We got 11-1 and 10-1 on the Phillies, and we had 29-1 on the Padres. I mean, those 3 teams, they got pitching, they got aces, they got bats. Now, obviously, on paper, the Dodgers, are the monsters. But you don't win a World Series on paper. You still got to play the game. So the Mets, they're pitching probably, one of the best in baseball this season. The Cubs, I mean, if they can fill that gap between their hitting and their pitching, that might be the most dangerous team in baseball. They've scored the most runs. They got the best run differential in baseball this season. So if they can get some pitching before the trade deadline, that's the team to really watch out for. I bet them to win their division before the season started. In the NL East, it's going to come down to the Mets and the Phillies. I'm hoping the Phillies make some moves because they got a bunch of solid starters, and you can use those guys in mid-relief in the playoffs. but they need those closers. They need a real good closer to come in. Dodgers are stacked. Padres are stacked. Yankees are battle tested. I'm not big on their coach, but they're battle tested. The Tigers, to me, I mean, they're playing great baseball, and then the West is wide open with Seattle, Texas, and those teams there. But yeah, they're the teams that we're looking at. They're the teams that we bet this season.
Hopefully, you had you got a solid play on the Colorado Rockies win total under. I don't know what the number was, 20, 21, whatever it was, but
3-0 in June, baby. 3-0 in June.
They've turned it around, man. They've absolutely turned it around. Very good. Mr. Delano, let's get some MLB thoughts from you. Can your Houston Astros make a run? Is there enough talent on that team, or is the division bad enough?
Well, I'm a Tigers fan, but also kind of adopted the Astros being down here. But honestly, I think the Astros, one thing I know a lot of people still, even like casual fans, they like to like throw out about, the Astros cheating and however you feel about that. I mean, this is a brand new team, and this organization, no matter what they do, I mean, getting rid of Kyle Tucker, Bregman, a lot of questionable offseason moves. They always seem to have a chance to win it all at the end of the year, no matter who's managing the team, no matter who's playing. And, this season came in as shaky as, it's looked over the last decade. And they're, not by a lot, but they're in first in the AL West. And I think that they're going to win tonight for those watching. It's one of my premiums. I like the Astros tonight. I think that they're going to be in the playoffs again. I think they're going to win this division. The Angels are the Angels. Don't trust them. The A's, the Rangers up and down, and the Seattle Mariners, it seems to, when it comes to generating offense, when it matters consistently, I still don't trust the Mariners. We've even saw a few years ago against the Astros there. So at the end of the day, I don't think that the Astros are going to have enough to win it, but I think they're going to be right there. I mean, I think right now, Detroit is, I think, the best team in the American League. Obviously, the Yankees have by far the best player in their game.
Detroit is the best team in the baseball league.
Yeah, in the AL, I'm going to say.
No. In the MLB.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going by record. I'm going by like what I actually think. I still think in the series, I would take I don't think they could beat the Dodgers, but.
Okay.
But I would say that the Astros right now are third in the AL, so they're going to be in the mix when it comes down to it in October. So they're going to be in it probably till the final four in the AL. So
yeah, we don't usually see this kind of fade from Seattle until like August. So the Astros actually caught them early. So maybe that's a harbinger of good things to come. Wes, your Dodgers have convinced everybody that they are a really good baseball team. They've convinced everybody except the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
Are they going to put any distance between themselves and the Padres before the All-Star break?
I don't know. Padres are really good, man. The Giants are pretty good too. It'll be
only 4 back. Yep.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting fight all the way, to the end. I like to look, though, at just money percentages. So, yeah, the Tigers, obviously the best record in baseball. They are also the most profitable team in baseball. That probably happens when you're winning a lot of games. But, yeah, they're over $1,000 of profitability. The Cubs are up there. The Cubs are trending over in a lot of their games. And why is that? Because they just hit the ball. They hit the ball like crazy. That Crow Armstrong kid, I'm a big fan. Your Padres are plus 722 to the good. This is all based on $100 a unit, obviously.
All right.
And then obviously you get down to the bottom, the poor Rockies, they're minus 2780 if you bet on them all season long. The Orioles, they're a full $1,000 below the Orioles. Orioles are minus 1514. So those are some money percentages. I will say, though, your Kansas City Royals, Scott, they're money to the under. I just keep betting their unders and I keep cashing. And why is that? Their starting pitching is fantastic and their bullpen's fantastic. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out.
Their offense is dreadful. Their offense is just absolutely dreadful. Yeah, they are last in the division in runs scored. And a quick reminder, that division has the White Sox in it.
Yeah.
So that is.
Yeah, I have the under tonight in St. Louis and the under probably tomorrow too. I'm just going to keep riding that Kansas City under until it doesn't like me anymore.
Yeah, once you get Lorenzen out of the way, it should be clear sailing as far as the under goes. Hey, Tom, I know you're a Phillies fan. There's a team in your division, the Miami Marlins, that just set an MLB record yesterday for the lowest attendance. You want to take a guess what it was?
I don't know, 1,000?
173 people.
Wow. No, they came out by the tens.
They came out by the. We've disappointed all 7 of our fans. That is very bad. I want to know if like the ushers were still like really hardcore. If you wanted to move down behind the dugout or whatever, they're just like, "Fuck, just go."
They're probably telling you to come down.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Tommy, the Phillies are currently in second place behind the New York Metropolitans and just a half game back. What do the Phillies need to do to overtake them and put a little distance between them and the Mets before the season ends?
Well, like Philly Godfather said, I think they need to make some moves. I don't mind trading off Castellanos, but we definitely need a center fielder. We need some bullpen pieces as well. But yeah, this Mets team is a good team. I think it's going to be a battle throughout the season.
Okay, very good. And Philly, let me ask you real quick: what's your World Series prediction? Who's there and who wins?
I'm hoping it's the Tigers and the Padres, or the Tigers and the Phillies, because I got money on them. So that's who I'm tuning in. Yeah, but it's probably the Cubs scare me, man. If they can get some pitching, that's a real scary team.
Yep, that's they're kind of the opposite. They're like looking in the mirror of the distorted mirror of the Royals, who have all pitching, no hitting. Cubs pretty much have all hitting, no pitching. So you put them together, you get 2 average teams. All right, before we get out of here, I promise our listeners, Philly, tell us the El Chapo story real quick.
Man, it's a dangerous story.
Well, tell us what you can tell us.
Well, put it this way. When I met him, it was like someone meeting Dr. J when he was in high school. So he wasn't really Dr. J yet.
Right.
But he was coming up the ladder. And, at the time, I didn't know who he was. It just happened to be him. And later on, I was like, wow, that was him. So in Mexico, had a couple houses, some tunnels. And I'll leave you guys with that.
All right, very good. Very good. That's fantastic.
Before you go, I did want to ask you a question. I probably should have asked it before the El Chapo story, but regarding sports betting, sometimes I like some of these like obscure games, although I know with the bigger games, you can make more money, you have better odds. But I'm kind of wondering like your feelings as a pro, like when it comes to betting on like the Dallas Cowboys, Giants Monday Night Football game, as opposed to maybe a Bowling Green Ball State, or how do you feel about like when it comes to the NBA Finals, as opposed to maybe having an edge on that random Houston Christian college basketball game? Like, any thoughts on that?
It all pays green, man. Wherever we can find an edge, wherever we did our research, we trust our numbers. We read during this time of year, we're probably reading 8 to 10 hours a day during football season, 14 to 16 hours a day. And we read everything, whether it's the metrics, the analytics, the advanced metrics, whether it's the stories on the internet, injury reports, who's coming back, who's getting hurt, what's their worth to the production value of the offensive line or defensive line or at their position. And we're just trying to identify a little bit of value that might trigger off, a light bulb in our head. And we're like, you know what? Look at the price real quick. Okay, we like the price. We think we got an edge here. Let's bet this. So it doesn't matter, what the sport is. As long as we think we have an edge, we're going to fire.
Do you find, I'll do a follow-up question for Dave real quick. Do you find more value in non-public games than you do in kind of under the radar games, or does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. It's all about information. How much information can you gather on this game? The more information you have, the better educated guess you're going to make. And when you make a lot of great educated guesses, it pays off. And that's what this is all about. It's about information. How fast can you get that information before anyone else does? And in this day and age, it travels fast. And can you bet it, off screen, get down as much as possible, and then hit the screen so you don't, mess the numbers up. And that's basically, it's been our motto for years, man. We're betting off screen first, and then late, before game time. Sometimes you'll see some line moves like a minute before game time or 30 seconds before game time, and that's us hitting the screen so no one else can get down, as much as we can.
Right, very good. Wes, do you have any final questions for the Godfather?
Are you still getting limited anywhere? How many outs do you have?
Not like we used to, man. And we're getting outs every day. We're losing outs every day. Right now, baseball season, I got about 40 outs left, on screen and off screen. But during football season, me personally, over 100 outs during football season.
Damn.
And for our newer viewers that are new to the sports betting world, when you're saying you have 100 outs, what exactly does that mean?
100 different guys I could bet with, whether it's bookies on the street, whether it's offshore, whether it's skins from offshore, whether it's, you can't really bet with DraftKings or FanDuel because you got to really finesse and you got to be a chameleon with those accounts because they'll shut you off immediately. What I used those accounts for years was they were giving up, they were giving away money. Like I would deposit 20,000 and give me 10,000 in bonus money. So I would use that to bet futures. The one year I had the Houston Astros at like 18-1 when they made the World Series against the Braves, I think it was. And with the boost, I got them at 44-1. And then when they made the World Series, we were just hedging the other side. So you got to really use each out and maximize as much money as you can with those outs before they drop you or kick you off or limit you, because you never want to get limited. You always want the ability, even with DraftKings, if I want, I can bet one game for 5 times because I don't bet every game on the board every day for 5 times. So every once in a while, when I got to unload on a game, I can still use them. But if I'm betting them every day, well, then they're going to shut you off and they're going to lower your limits to like $5 a game. And then what are you going to do with that account? So you got to really be a chameleon. You got to really disguise what you're doing, or else, my business as a professional sports bettor, next thing you know, you're not going to have any outs at all.
Very good. And Tom, we'll wrap it up with you. Any questions, thoughts for Philly?
No questions. Just an honor to meet you. Thank you for being on. It's great.
You're a Philly guy, so I imagine you've been a fan like even longer than the rest.
Yeah, I've known him for a while. Listened to a bunch of his podcasts for years.
Fantastic. All right, Philly, this is the time where you get to plug yourself. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us about any kind of shows that you're on, anything coming up, anything you want to plug besides your book, and don't forget to get the book, which is called Booked. And it used to say, well, you tell us where to get it, but now everybody gets them same place on their computer, right?
Yeah, I'm proud to say we started off number 1 on hot new releases and organized crime on Amazon, which I didn't expect. There's 44 million titles on Amazon, and for me to write a book, and I have a following, but it's not like a giant following, and right. That really humbled me a little bit. So you can get it on Amazon, you can get it on Barnes and Noble. You can go to our website, phillybooked.com. That's phillybooked.com. I got a million pictures, me with Billy, me with Jimmy Batista, me with John Mastronardo and the Vito brothers, who were the biggest bookmakers in the world at one time. There's a bunch of pictures on there. You can navigate the website a little bit. The website is thephillygodfather.com. That's where we release our information. And you can find me on X at Philly Godfather and Philly Godfather. I don't do much on Instagram or TikTok. I just started to. So Philly Godfather on those 2 as well. And I'm always doing different shows. I mean, people call me, every week. So I never know exactly who I'm on or who I'm not on, but we're always doing a bunch of media. Book signing tour starts tomorrow in Drexel Hill. We got 5 dates in Pennsylvania, 3 in Jersey. We got 5 in LA. We're trying to get a billboard on Hollywood Boulevard for the book. We got 2 in Vegas, and then we go back to Miami, and we got 5 more there, and a couple in New York. So as long as the book keeps moving, we'll keep touring the country and signing some books, man.
Fantastic. And I got one last question. Did you ever think you'd see a day where you could walk down the street and it'd be legal sports betting and legal weed?
No, it still blows my mind, man. Yeah, we were, they chased me down for years. I was arrested and I went to trial in 2006, got convicted, found guilty on all charges. And then 2 years later, I overturned my conviction and was exonerated of all charges. So they've been trying to get me for years. And now it's legal. Now it's everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, I would have paid all that tax money. I had no problem paying that tax money. You should just not put in the sports betting, as a sports bettor back in the late 80s, 90s, 2000, they always thought we were bookmakers because the feds never thought you could make a living betting on sports, So they always chased us down thinking we're bookmakers. And we had a case from 94, 95 where they arrested us. And the way we won the case was, listen, just look at our phone lines. There's no phone calls coming in. No one's betting with us. There's all phone calls going out. And that's what ended up helping us beat the case because they're like, well, no one's calling to place bets with these guys. They're not bookmakers. So we've been through it all, man. We've seen it all. And, the legalization of sports, I was a big proponent for years, but it's getting a little scary with these college kids. Makes me worry a little bit. It's so saturated. You're seeing commercials every day. So I'm just hoping that people have the willpower and the smarts to bet responsibly and, enjoy it like you're going to enjoy any other entertainment unless you're a pro. You go to a concert, you could spend $5,000 for tickets. After 3 hours, concert's gone, your money's gone, you had a great time. If you can afford it, that's fine, but bet responsibly. Don't get in over your head. and listen to the show because you guys give out sharp information all the time.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. It's hard to believe the feds would ever get something wrong. But I'm still just too stunned by that. So, all right, man. Thanks very much for being here. I know I speak for all of us when I say it was really an honor and a privilege to have you here and talking sports. And I want to thank all the panelists. Dave, where can we find you at, man?
You can find me picks over on hitthepick.com. You can find me on X at Get Sports Strong, along with on Instagram at Get Sports Strong, and over on TikTok too as well. So,
yeah. Are you TikTok are you over there dancing, buddy?
No, I'm not dancing. I'm just giving out picks, just being a little shorter with getting to the play, but been getting views over there. So.
Very nice. And what are you red hot on right now? You still killing baseball?
Yeah. So been up for the year. I mean, really the last 4 years, but 8-1 run right now, Major League Baseball. Doing low volume though, just right now, but trying to find just the best play on the board each day and hammering that, not doing too many plays. But yeah, 8-1 run and 17-7 run going into the NHL in the NHL playoffs as well, going into the finals.
All right. Wes, where can the processor servers track you down, and what are you hot at right now?
Pretty much everything. Hockey's been great. Baseball's been fantastic. I'm at the Sniper Picks, obviously on X and Twitter, YouTube, TikTok as well. Dave and I have been collaborating on some TikToks and stuff and trying to figure that whole animal out. I see Philly Godfather over there on TikTok too. I see you over there, man. Maybe you don't run it, but I see your talks, and you got a pretty big following over there. So whoever's running that's doing it right.
I guess they got that 3-2-1 thing, and it kicks off. And I saw you start doing it. It's cool the way the video kicks off. It's it's hard for me to relate with these young kids because they're so different. But yeah, we're on there.
Very good. Hey, Tommy, where can we find you at, my friend? And what are you killing it at right now?
Yep, at Rycape on all social media. NBA's been my best sport. We have some soccer tournaments coming up, so I'll be hot on that. NASCAR, we went 3-1 last week.
Very
Hit the
good.
track live Friday, 5:30 Eastern. Make sure you check that out. We have Cody from We Know Fantasy on. So, yeah, we're going to talk some racing in Michigan.
That'll be fun. All right. And you can find me on all socials at Steamroller. And I'm had a little first five on the Angels today, and that takes my baseball run to 12-1 right now. So,
all right.
Yeah, good times, good money. And I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. Thanks very much for stopping by. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you'd be so kind, and get your butt over there to hitthepick.com. Check out all the great deals we've got. For myself and for my panel, appreciate you guys stopping by. We'll be back to do it again next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central on the Hit the Pick Founders Show. Take care, everybody.